Hi everybody, this is Oscar from Families in Schools. Welcome to the webinar. I'm sorry for the delay, but I wanted to welcome everybody to the webinar. Let me just double check if Darline or co-presenter is already on the line. Darline, are you on the line?
Yes, I am, Oscar. I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Darline, thank you for being here. So we're going to get started by giving you a brief overview of the objectives for the webinar. As many of you know, local control funding has tremendously shifted educational landscape, and that shift has also included the way parent engagement has been included as part of local control funding, but also the expectations that districts and schools now have on how to authentically engage parents. So the purpose of this webinar today is to give participants a brief overview of local control funding and specifically how parent engagement can be a tool under local control funding for schools and districts to be able to improve student achievement. So our objectives for today are going to be three of them. One is to enhance your understanding of the importance of parent engagement. And I know that many of you on the line are working skills. That's a little bit of a summary, and we'll be hearing from Darline Robles, who is going to be talking about based on her experience, not only a board member from Families in Schools, but also as a professor for education at the USC Roster School of Education and former superintendent of Los Angeles County's Office of Education. She has definitely had an extreme insight into how schools function, and she'll be able to help us talk a little bit about how parent engagement is critical to the school function. The second objective for the day is going to be to talk about very specifically how does this parent engagement address local control funding, and what kind of opportunities there are to improve parental engagement at districts. And finally, we're going to be exploring what are some of the tools that Families in Schools have developed that could be used by districts and schools to be able to fulfill the objectives of parent engagement under local control funding, and how these tools can become real assets to the school in terms of the capacity to engage parents as partners in learning. These are going to be our three objectives for the day, and we will, take questions as you have them. So if you can write your question in the chat box at any moment, we will be stopping at certain points during the webinar so that we can address specific questions. And obviously, as the webinar, that this is not going to be a complete, comprehensive presentation, but really a way to trigger key questions, trigger key conversations, and Families in Schools is going to be here after the webinar to be able to address any questions that you may have. Having said that, we're going to get started with Darline Robles' presentation. And she's going to basically speak to her experience as in many roles in the school districts on how and why is parent engagement important. Darline, thank you for being with us today. You've been a great supporter of Families in Schools and a great champion for parental engagement in the various roles you've had. So could you tell us a little bit more then about the importance of parent engagement?
Yes, Oscar, thank you so much, and I also want to thank everyone for being part of this important webinar. And I hope you're not getting any feedback from me. If you can, maybe let Oscar know through the chat if he can tell me, because I'm doing this by phone, not on the computer, on the webinar. As Oscar mentioned, I've been in education over 40-plus years, but I think the most important role that I play right now is that I'm the legal guardian to my granddaughter. So not only my experience as an educator and the importance of parent involvement, but now being a parent again and raising her has really hit home personally for me, the importance of parents being involved. But more important for me is how the school welcomes me as a parent and as a guardian. That they don't see me as someone that's an adversary and that I don't see them as an adversary, that working together, we know that my granddaughter and your children that you serve really have a chance of reaching their potential when we work together on behalf of the educational goals of the child. Not only does that as a primary focus, but it also works together for me to really build a learning community where everyone is involved in the school. And I think we often forget that part, that schools are part of that larger community, and it's a place where everyone welcomes the children in the neighborhood, where people and adults who don't have children see the good things that are going on. So parent engagement for me is even more personal, but as an educator for over 40 years, I've seen firsthand as a teacher, as a principal, as a superintendent, that when parents are involved in ways that enhance their students' ability, everyone gains. It's above and more than making sure your child does your homework, but asking critical questions, asking what more can I do? How can I help the school? How can I be a resource and a support? But that really begins at the schoolhouse door, how welcoming and how important that role is between the two. And I believe it really helps teachers as well, so that they don't see us as again, adversaries. When we think of parent involvement, it's not only at the part of the school, but also parents. Parents need to know how to become involved. As a new principal, way back when, won't go how far back, I knew that as a new parent myself, when I had my first parent conference for my son, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was to be expected. And I took that to the level with a new principal in working with my teachers and asking, okay, if you only have 20 minutes with Mrs. Robles, what do you want from Mrs. Robles or Mr. Robles or the grandparent who's going to come and sit down and talk about Darline? What do you want from them? And really what the parents wanted was to know, is there something unique about the child that they needed to know about? What did they know about their child that would help the teacher work with them better in the classroom? Was the child very sensitive? Was the child a jokester? What do they see as the child's strengths? And where do they see the school helping their child in areas that they were challenging? And then what the parent wanted was to know that the teacher was really going to take care of their child and really help them grow and succeed. So given that, we created parent conference trainings, not only for the parent but also for the teacher. But I think for the parent, it really helped the parent come in and not expect a negative or what to expect from the teacher, but having them understand that it was important for them to share a little bit about Darline and their child and how much they cared for them, and the teachers about what they could expect and what they could not expect. So the parent involvement is also critical, because oftentimes our parents that we serve, this may be their first experience or positive experience at a school, and we want them to feel successful. In terms of a district and a school site, I think parents can also be engaged in more of the organizational pieces, the governance pieces, in a way that's meaningful to them, because then parents can come and work on behalf of the entire learning community, not just their child. As we know with lots of different parent organizations, the parents who have the time to get actively involved, they do it for the broader good, for the good of the community and the neighborhood, because they know when vibrant schools are there, the neighborhood also becomes vibrant and supportive. So schools can engage with parents at a governance level, at a way to support the larger goals of the district as well, in terms of bond issues, of parcel tax issues, but they also know that this helps their child immediately or down the road, that they can also translate what goes on at the school and the district to other parents who may not be able to be actively involved. So it really does matter that parents understand the important role they play, and that schools and site districts also understand the way that they can engage parents to have a very meaningful role as well. We know the research is there, and even if we don't talk about the research, we know from students who are successful that they'll also describe the relationship that their parents had in their lives to have them be successful. And we also have to give parents opportunities to know how they can help, even if it's not being at the school, not being active in ways that parents who can't afford to do that, but other ways that they can help their child be successful by just certain things that they can do at home, supporting their child, making sure that they're supported in their efforts at home and at school. The research is very clear. The research says in a recent study in 2012, you have this on your webinar, that when schools use effective family engagement practices, students improve in their math performance and their reading performance. And who doesn't want that to happen? Parents do, teachers do, administrators do, but more important, the students want to succeed. They want to succeed, and so parents play a critical role in inspiring their students to be successful. We also know through another study in 2006 is that when parents participated in academic enrichment activities, things that schools can do to add to the regular classroom. We know we have math days, we have reading contests, we have workshops for parents, and if they did that outside of the regular school day, again, they increased in reading or math 4 to 5 months. That's incredible data. So schools play an important part in creating this environment where parents can become actively engaged, learning about what their children are learning, learning how to support them. And again, parents want that, schools want that, teachers want that. As I said before, and I know I may sound like a broken record, students want to succeed. Everybody goes to school wanting to do their best. And I think working together, we can make that happen. Again, it really is important that schools look at ways that they can enhance that parent involvement and parent engagement. And the reason that I'm involved in families and schools, because I have opportunities to volunteer and work with many organizations, is the work that I've seen families and schools do at different levels of a child's development, both physically, emotionally, and academically, that there are ways that we can increase that beyond what we're doing now in schools. I would have appreciated an organization like Families in Schools when I was a new principal, or even as a superintendent in Montebello many years ago, in ways to increase that activity to be meaningful, and that there really is what we call a true partnership, and that each of us has a role in that partnership, a responsibility, and an accountability, do what we need to make sure our children are successful in schools. So I'm going to turn it over to Oscar, who's going to talk more about the programs and services that Families in Schools has, and I'm available for questions at the end, Oscar. Thank you.
Darline, thank you. Darline, you mentioned also about the importance of how parent engagement also changes the level of satisfaction of the teachers. Based on your experience, why is that? What does it bring to the table when parents are engaged, and how does that impact the actual school climate and staff climate?
Well, when a parent knows, when a teacher knows that the parent is working with them, that when they do have an issue or a concern, that the parent's not going to be there in an adversarial role, that they're going to see, oh, I'm going to call Mrs. Robles, and I know she's going to help me figure this out to help Darline, because we're partners in this. It's not that this is something negative, but then the teachers feel supported in their work. Teachers have a difficult time when they assign work or homework or certain responsibilities, and there doesn't seem to be a connection, and there's kind of this, it's not necessarily intended to be adversarial, but there's lack of communication because everyone's busy. They don't know then how to support the child. But when the parent is very clear, I'm available to do X, I can help with Y, I want to know how I help, then the teacher feels very comfortable in saying, I'm supported in the work because we're partners in this. It's not to be something that is negative. And then the child feels supported by all the adults around their education. We want to see our teachers be advocates for children, that they don't see it as a negative role. And when teachers feel supported by all the adults around them, they do better. They know coming in that if I have an issue or a problem, I can feel comfortable in calling Mrs. Robles to help with that. And I can also call Mrs. Robles when the good things are going on. So it builds a climate of support for everyone. And that only enhances the school culture and the school climate when everyone's working together. People are then feeling supported at all levels. And when adults feel supported in their work, students feel supported in their work.
Thank you, Darline. That's very insightful. And with your experience at so many levels of the educational system, it really speaks to the power of parental engagement. So thank you so much. I know you're going to stick around for some questions at the end. So let me move along and talk a little bit about our role as families in schools, and specifically as we have been working to really strengthen that partnership between the families and the schools to support student achievement. We were created in 2000. We're a nonprofit, and we really are looking to how do we build the capacity. We're capacity building around parent engagement, both at the school side and also in on the family side. We do like to focus on communities that have low income and immigrant communities, knowing full well that education is the gateway to a better life for them. And that's it comes in our nature as social justice advocates. We care so deeply about ensuring that every single child gets and every single family gets an access to quality education. So the materials and works that we've been developing have been very focused around how to engage families that are low income, how to engage families that are immigrant, and this may be the first time interaction with the school. And we're capacity builders on bringing the tools necessary to support schools and the parents on how to connect. My name is, as you can see on the webinar, is Oscar Cruz. I'm the president of the organization. I'm delighted to be having this conversation. And I'll just remind you that if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box, and we can get to them. Having a resource such as Darline is such a great opportunity to ask her a question about school dynamics and parent engagement. But we're going to be moving forward to really the crux of the conversation today, and this is this is something that has tremendously shifted education in California with local control funding formula. And as many of you know, I'm sure you've kind of heard some of what's going on with funding in California, but the local control funding formula is really a new way that that the state of California is distributing money to the districts. There's a lot more flexibility that districts now have on how to use their funding. This is very different to how it used to be done before local control funding formula, where there was a lot of categories where money needed to be spent on specific items. The state viewed that it was important to give districts more flexibility for them to invest the money where it was needed. So local control funding formula really provides the districts with a lot more autonomy on how to use their funds. But at the same time, it gives them eight key criteria where they're going to have to address. So every district, in order to get the funds from the state, are going to have to introduce or present to the state a plan, a local LCAP, a local control accountability plan, where they will have to delineate and show how are they going to use the funds to be able to improve student achievement. We're very, as advocates of parental engagement, we're very delighted to know that parent engagement was one of those 8 key priorities that the state said every district should include something to do with parent engagement. As advocates statewide, we were very supportive of that. to make sure that they recognize that working alongside parents was critical in order to increase student achievement. The unique aspect of how local control funding has approached parent engagement in two different strategies. The first strategy relates to how the district solicits or hears the input of parents and community at large in how to develop their plans. Basically, what are they going to do? How are they going to invest the funds? This is the process of hearing and soliciting input, but we know that that's not enough. We know that we've had many community forums, many school board meetings to hear input. One of the most powerful things that local control funding, the formula LCFF, brings to the table is that in addition to requiring districts to demonstrate how they solicit input, they also require the district to show in the final plan that they approve the ways and allocation of how they were going to invest money on how to accomplish two objectives. One, how is the district going to increase the engagement of parents in decision making? And two, how are our district and schools going to increase the engagement of parents in supporting student achievement? This is a very powerful way to see parental engagement, because it's not only just to go and have a community forum and listen to what parents want, but rather what it says is, how do we change the culture of the district and the school in how we are interacting on a day-to-day basis with parents, both to empower them to become decision makers for the children, but also how they can also become partners with the schools in supporting student achievement. That was a very powerful change, we believe, in opportunity. Nothing can be created from scratch without the work of nonprofits and the champions who have been working around this. And the promise of local control funding is really, to me, whether it's going to function or not, is how well it's able to authentically engage families. There's a lot of work to be done, and families and schools began to talk to different organizations across the state, because one of the things we came across very often was that while many individuals believed about the importance of parental engagement, it was very hard to visualize what does it look like? What does authentic parental engagement look like at a school? And we know that there's a lot of champions out there working for it, but sometimes we were talking different languages, or we're talking apples to oranges on what authentic parental engagement looks at schools. So we started at Families in Schools a process in October of 2013, when we began to have conversations with multiple dozens of organizations across the state, and educators, advocates, parents, to hear from them what does authentic engagement look like at school. Because if local control funding is now requiring districts to improve the way they engage parents on a day-to-day level, well, let's try to find a vision for what that would look like. So that there's more systematic way of addressing parental engagement. And we began having conversations with parents. We began having conversations and convenings with nonprofits. And we started to get a lot of rich information. And out of that, we were working with some consultants such as Yoli Flores, a former board member from LAUSD. And we were able to combine all this feedback into 6 different components of authentic parental engagement. This was our attempt about trying to group the different things that people were saying was important and how parental engagement should look like at schools. It was I think the #1 consensus point that we had among all of the organizations was that welcoming environment was so critical to having an authentic parental engagement in schools, from parents to advocates to practitioners. they all really emphasized that welcoming environment was the starting point, was the most basic thing that a school can do to be able to start working with families. This was particularly important in communities where there were immigrant communities, a large immigrant community where many times the families felt overwhelmed with the system. They were not familiar with the system. And when they came to the school and felt that the system was not welcoming, they would already create some negative ideas of what it is to work with schools. We really heard that that point very clear. But the 6 overall components of authentic parent engagement that were developed out of listening to all the input we had were the following. 1, welcoming environment, as we spoke about. 2nd, effective communication. 3rd, meaningful resources. 4th, shared leadership. 5th, conflict resolution. And 6th, adequate financial resources. I'm going to briefly, just give you some examples of what were some of the items that were within each of these components, and I will then show you an infographic we developed to try to put all this information in a visual way. From the vantage point of welcoming environment, one of the things parents really cared about is whether there were parent centers at the schools. The other component that the parents really were looking and asking for is whether staff had had any training on how to engage parents, from the front office staff all the way to the principal. What kind of training could be given to the staff so that each of them recognized that welcoming parents was very important. That was the second piece that was very critical in the welcoming environment. Under effective communication, the community voice was asking how often are staff interacting with parents to hear what the needs of the children are. Is it only in moments where there's something going wrong with the child, or is it an ongoing communication that happens also to celebrate good work, or to just develop a relationship with the family? The other key component that came out here was home visitations. Parents and community felt very strong that having staff be able to understand the community where they taught, the families that they taught, was very critical, and home visitations was highlighted as one of those things that families really cared about. Meaningful resources was the third component, which really talked about what are the services that are available at the school that would allow the family to be able to access supports that they will need to be better at supporting the children's education. So for example, this could include after-school programs. This could include tutoring supports. Families really felt that the school can do better in addressing the needs that they have, the other, the environmental issues that they have, not just in the school, but health issues. Is there maybe a health clinic or a connection with a health clinic locally that they can get support for the children? There was a very strong desire for the school not to see the role only within the classroom, but also as a resource for the families in the community. The fourth was shared leadership, and there was a lot of desire that we were hearing from the people who provided input that there needed to be a better also training within staff and parent leaders on how to make decisions together, on how to actually make a budgeting process more authentic, more realistic. So from training to having adequate information, the voices of families and parents are saying, we want to be part of this, and we also want to be part of the decision making. Conflict resolution was one of those areas that parents mentioned that, we want there to be a strong partnership with schools, but sometimes there's going to be areas where we have very deep concerns, And we would want to have a clear way for us to share our concerns and for our concerns to be met in a very effective and efficient way. And they felt many times that they were being given the runaround, talking to one person first, then sending them to someone else, sending them to the third person, and at the end of the day, a month went by before their issue was addressed. So there was a lot of desire to have very clear ways for the parents to know where they can be able to share their concerns, and how can we resolve those areas where there is a conflict between the school and the parent. And ultimately, it was very clear that a lot of this work, training, that materials, after-school programming, required resources so that parental engagement had to go beyond just telling people that they need to be nice to families, but an area of investment for the school. We've seen across the board many examples where the narrative of the plan submitted by the districts give a very strong vision of what parent engagement could be, but resources are not allocated to do it right. And this is an area where we need to be advocates for both quality, but also advocates for more resources, because we know it takes effort, we know it takes training, and so it takes resources to be able to do it right. So what I wanted to show you very quickly, and this is something we're going to email everybody after the webinar, is an infographic that we developed to be able to capture many of these areas on authentic parental engagement. This is an infographic. We're going to send it to you by PDF. You can look at it. But you can see on the left top side the 6 areas of authentic parental engagement, a picture of the school, and we have boxes that indicate some of those examples we were giving you about how to improve authentic parental engagement. So let me give you an example on the welcoming environment. So the welcoming environment is the #1 area that comes up. So there is a box that is color coordinated on the bottom. This says school staff train and effective parent engagement practices. So you will see how the boxes are color coordinated and associate to one of the 6 sections. So in this case, on the welcome environment, we have school staff training and effective parent engagement practices. Do staff have training on welcoming parents? Do staff have training on how to understand the community? Those are examples. The second example I'll give you is #3, meaningful resources for families. This is the third component of authentic parent engagement, and the other example, a specific example, is schools that offer workshops to parents on how to support their students' learning. So in order for a school to be able to strengthen the parent engagement under meaningful resources for families, they could be able to do more and invest more around the type of workshops and trainings that they can offer to parents that are linked around and linked very directly on how they can support student achievement. So we'll be able to send you this as a follow-up to the webinar. We'll send you the information, and you will be able to take a look at it. We'll send you as well the full report that we developed on all the different indicators that show, based on the feedback from parents, community organizations, and you'll see that the infographic you're looking at right now is just a visual representation of the report. And it's a nice piece that you can look at it with your colleagues and say, how do we assess what are these things we're already doing, and maybe how do we start doing more around local control funding. And I'll remind you that at any point, please, submit your questions during the chat box, and let us know so we can address any of your questions as we move forward. The last part of the presentation is going to be talking about what has families and schools done to address these needs in terms of parental engagement in the schools. One of the first things that we've been doing since 2000 has been developing training for staff on how they can understand parent engagement. This is professional development training that could be done for a group of school staff members. You could have the principal, you could have a teacher, you could have various people in the training. We generally do it in segments of 4 hours. They're very dynamic, interactive trainings. And we currently have 3 specific 4-hour trainings. The first training is on welcome and environment. How do you evaluate welcome and environment at your school, and what can you do to improve it? The second module that we have of 4 hours on the professional development is what are the key components, the core components of parental engagement. It's a little bit more of an overview of what are some of the key components that makes a school engaging. The third module is the component on how to effectively outreach to parents. We feel that it's almost a science on how to do it right, and it takes time and effort. So we've developed a very short module of 4 hours for staff, again, school staff, or any nonprofit that works with parents. This could be also preschool settings, it could be Head Starts, it could be many others. And we do a 4-hour training on how to outreach to parents. So we basically are giving know-how that we've developed over the last 14 years on how to engage families and provide it in a way that is accessible for others to learn. These are very modified. We can adapt, work with districts and schools on how to do it, and we can do them in various capacities, both in Southern California as well as Northern California all throughout. The other component that we've been working very hard over the last 14 years is this notion of quality parent engagement curriculum. Many times what we've seen is that staff are assigned to work with parents, and that they're given the assignment of having to work with parents, maybe to talk to parents about family literacy, or maybe to talk to parents around college awareness. But there is a lack of training of tools that staff can use to actually do it effectively. Proven tools that are designed based on popular education techniques. And the staff member does the best they can because they care so deeply, but by giving them some tools on how to do it in a more systematic way will be more effective in working with families. So we've developed this path of various curriculums that can be implemented at various points during the the educational pipeline that address critical indicators of student achievement. So again, these are curriculums that are families and schools train school staff on how to implement, and then the school owns the material and they keep the know-how and they implement it with parents. We can also provide coaching when needed, and we can help the school staff go along the process of implementing. So the programs that fall under the more of the early education really focus around family literacy. We know that being able to be proficient in reading and writing is critical for the future success of students. So these two programs are geared towards really looking at how schools can work with parents to improve family literacy. Read With Me is a lending library where book bags go to the home with multicultural books on a regular basis, and they're rotated so the family gets access to quality books. Reading Roads is more of a traditional workshop with families, 5 sessions of 2 hours each, where our parents are able to learn how to interact with the child and promote family literacy, what kind of questions to ask. And this is, Reading Roads can be given to a school, train the school staff on how to, for them to implement it. And you'll see that along the path, there's various specific indicators we're looking at. Our program for English language learner reclassification really focuses between kindergarten and 5th grade. What do parents need to know and do to help their child reclassify? Again, this is a program of 5 sessions of 2 hours each for parents, and we train school staff on how to implement it. Then we get to more of the middle school, and we also understand the critical component of transition when kids go from one level to another. And many times this is the gap where maybe parent engagement drops off, where maybe something happens to the student engagement. So we designed these programs as a moment of time to remind and to help parents understand what are the different transitions, what is the difference between an elementary and a middle school, and how does the job and responsibility of parents change. This could be given to students that are exiting 5th grade, or this could be given to students and their families who are entering 6th grade. And this is a program for parents. Moving up more in the middle school and getting to high school is the College Knowledge Academy, which is a program that focuses on promoting a college-going culture at home. And this is the only program where we actually have both the parent and student go through this together so they can develop a college-going plan jointly, and very similar to the other programs as well. We have transitions to high school, which is only for the parents, and also helping them see the difference between elementary, between middle school and high school, and giving them some of that information about A through G, financial aid, what is FAFSA, how can they continue supporting that work at home. And again, this is we also do the College Knowledge Academy financial aid at the later years. It's similar to the previous one in 6th and 9th grade, but this one that we do for 12th graders is focused very specifically on college financial literacy. So as you can see, what we have developed is a toolbox for schools, for nonprofits that work with parents, for preschools, where they can actually use these tools at any moment to strengthen what they're already doing. We recognize that everybody that is working in this field is passionate about the work of parental engagement, they care about the work, and what we're trying to do is just provide some added tools and assets to be able to help individuals and organizations do it right. To give you a quick, just a quick summary of some of the data that has been captured for the programs. In the Read With Me program, which is a lending library, we have found that people who go through a program have increased, the family has increased their average reading time by 29 minutes to 29 minutes per day. So there's a clear impact on how often families are reading together at home. Our program more on the college awareness work has shown that parents are able to understand better the federal aid process for students. They're familiar with FAFSA, and it went from 31% parents knowing what FAFSA and what financial aid to 82% after they completed the full course. 78% of the parents that participated in one of our summer programs stated that their child was better prepared to start the next school year after taking part of the program. So we care deeply about evaluating our work and how the programs actually have impacts in the knowledge, the skills, and the values that parents have. So with that, I wanted to kind of give you some just resources that you can be able to have with you so that you can contact us for more information. We have more information on how you can partner with us if you're a school, if you're a nonprofit, if you're a preschool and want to learn more. You can visit our page to learn more. You can email me as well. You can also see our programs in action. We have a couple of videos on our YouTube page. And we also have upcoming trainings and webinars that are coming to your area or here in Southern California in case you're interested. We're big on social media, so you can visit us on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. And you know, many of the opportunities when they're made available because of a funding opportunity, such a foundation giving us some support, we then really quickly offer free trainings and other programming and announce it through our social media. So please, you know, connect with us to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we'll be able to address any of your needs that you may have. So having said that, let me ask Darline. Darline, do you have any final comments in reactions, observations?
No, I think you did an excellent job of summarizing. It's a lot of information to take in at once. We know that. I would encourage you to actually log on and see the actual work But I think I want to go back to just the one slide that in the outcomes of the program is that when we have met with parents and have met with students, their description of their involvement and the excitement they have as learners really comes through. And as it said in the program, close to 80% of the parents believed that having the summer reading program and other programs really have increased their students' ability to succeed in school. And that's what we want. We want students to be successful. As I said earlier, everyone wants to do a good job when they get up in the morning, go to school, and go to work. And the programs that FIS brings to schools and to nonprofits is another tool that we can use to make that happen for all children.
Thank you, Darline. So we have a couple questions. One is about the cost. Based on the type of program you're interested in, please email me. I'm going to show you the, there we go. Let me go back to that. You can email me directly because it depends on which programming opportunity you're interested in. If you're interested in on a 4-hour professional development course, it's a different cost as if we were doing a training of a curriculum. So the best way to learn about any type of cost currently is if you can email me at cruz@familiesinschools.org, and we can give you more information specifically about the cost. There's also a question about the English language learner reclassification trainings. I don't think right now we have one schedule. We may have it one schedule as we learn more about how Common Core is impacting reclassification. But let us know. Again, contact me, and it may be something that we can do very specifically for your district or for your school. So with any questions regarding the programming, we're more than happy to reach out to you personally and see the needs that you have at your school or community, and we can work with you on addressing that. I believe there's another question. Yes, so we're going to be sending the full PowerPoint to everybody who's online right now, and we're going to be sending the infographic, all the materials that you saw here in a way that you can access them as PDF, and you can use them for your reference. We'll send you a little bit more materials and links to videos so you can actually see the work in progress. But yes, so we're going to be sending that information. Well, thank you. We don't have any additional questions as of right now. Again, I would encourage you to be able to email me directly at cruz@familiesinschools.org. Darline, like always, has been great spending some time with you talking about these critical issues that impact our community and education. I really want to thank you for the investment and your support of Families in Schools.
Thank you, and thank everyone for being here and on your support of family involvement. Thank you.
Yes, and on that note, we want to thank you, those of you who are out there doing the hard work on the ground, working with families and your educators, your parent coordinators, your superintendents. There's a lot of demands and pressures, and what we hope to do is be able to be a partner to you and a capacity builder to you in trying to reach what we all want, which is ensuring that every single family gets access to quality education and that schools are a place where families feel welcome, where they feel as partners in support of their students' learning needs. So thank you very much. I look forward to connecting with you via social media or by email, and we hope to be doing more of these events as we move along. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Oscar. Bye.